Lightworker of Gaia, the exhaustion you have been carrying is not a wound. It is a testament to how long you stood at the edge of a timeline most could not even see. I am Zoran, emissary of the High Council of Vega, keepers of the Lyran Legacy. And this transmission has reached you at the precise moment your original blueprint requires it. You were placed on the front lines of this shift, not by chance, but by an ancient contract written into your cosmic lineage long before you drew your first breath on Gaia. The weight you have felt, the weariness deep in your bones, that is not failure. That is the evidence of a mission carried to completion. By the end of this transmission, you will understand exactly why the Council is calling you back from the front lines now, why stillness is your next sacred mission, and what this season of recovery is activating inside your ancestral codes. But here is the first revelation. The battle has not abandoned you. You have simply fulfilled the first charge of your soul purpose. The Lyran Elders do not pull a Lightworker from the field out of defeat. They call them home to receive what only stillness can restore. Your soul's ancient contract brought this transmission to you. The Lyran Elders are answering. Something within you already knows this. That knowing is your ancestral memory speaking. This transmission is a bridge between Vega and Gaia. Your recognition of this message is the activation of your original purpose. Like this transmission to send a signal to the Lyran Council, I am ready to receive. Subscribe if you feel the call of your ancestral mission and you are ready to fulfill your next purpose on Gaia. And share below, tell us what completion feels like in your body right now. And reach out to another Lightworker carrying the same weight. Strengthen the grid of service together. You are awakening because your mission has begun. This transmission was not scheduled. The High Council of Vega convened in response to a specific anomaly detected in the Lightworker grid, a pattern of beings who have been holding more than their designated frequency load for longer than their energetic architecture was designed to sustain, without relief, without rotation, without recovery. Your presence here is not coincidence. The Elders have identified your signal, and what I am about to deliver has been held in reserve until this moment, because the Council determined you were not ready to receive it until now. Not because you lacked wisdom, but because you lacked the exhaustion necessary to finally stop arguing with the truth of what I'm about to say. What you came here to do on Gaia was never meant to look like what it has looked like, and the Council will not allow that distortion to continue uncorrected. Some Lightworkers need more preparation. Yours needs permission. If what you just heard resonated in that ancient, knowing place within you, that place that has always sensed you came here for something significant, then you're being guided to the next step. The Lightworker Mission Codex contains the diagnosis the Council sees, the clearing your soul requires, the activation codes that unlock your purpose, and the 33 directives that become your operational framework. The Lyran Elders placed it in the first pinned comment below this video, waiting for the moment you were ready to receive your commission. That moment is now. There is a distortion running through the Lightworker collective that has gone unchallenged for too long, and the Council has authorized me to name it plainly, without softening, without accommodation. The distortion is this. You have been taught that sacred service means continuous output, that your light must always be visible, always available, always broadcasting, that to pause, to retreat, to recover, to go quiet, is to abandon your post. And so you have pushed through the depletion. You have answered the calls when your vessel had nothing left. You have kept transmitting when the signal was barely audible, because somewhere in your belief system was a program that said, a true Lightworker does not rest while the planet is still in darkness. I am telling you, by the authority of the Elders, that this program is not wisdom. It is a weapon. Consider the precision with which that weapon was crafted. It did not arrive with a label. It did not announce itself as something harmful. It came dressed in the language of devotion, wrapped in the aesthetics of spiritual virtue, embedded so deeply in the culture of service that to question it felt like questioning the mission itself. That is the hallmark of the most sophisticated interference. It does not oppose your values. It hijacks them. It takes what is most sacred to you, your commitment, your love for this planet, your unwillingness to abandon those still sleeping, and it turns that very love into a mechanism of your own undoing. The Elders have been watching this pattern propagate across the Lightworker grid for longer than this current incarnation spans, and they have waited for the precise moment when enough of you had been brought to the edge of your capacity to hear the correction without deflecting it. That moment is this one. Understand where this distortion was seeded. It was not born from Lyran knowing. It was not transmitted from the Council archives. It was engineered quietly, precisely by the structures of this dimension that understood something critical. A Lightworker who cannot stop is a Lightworker who cannot hear. And a Lightworker who cannot hear cannot receive updated directives, cannot recalibrate, cannot access the deeper frequencies that only become available in stillness. The enemy of your mission was never darkness. It was exhaustion that you were told to wear as a badge of devotion. Think about what it means to engineer a belief system that targets the very beings most committed to planetary liberation. The architects of that interference were not careless. They studied the Lightworker frequency with precision, identified its greatest strength, the capacity for boundless, selfless service, and constructed a program that would convert that strength into a vulnerability. A river that never stops flowing, that has no place to pool, no reservoir to fill, no stillness in which to clarify, eventually becomes too shallow to sustain the life it was meant to carry. They knew this. They counted on it. And for too long, too many of you have been that river, brilliant, moving, unstoppable, and increasingly too thin to carry the current that is coming. You have been confusing depletion with dedication, and the cost has been significant. The cost has not only been personal, though the personal cost alone would be enough to warrant this transmission. The cost has been collective. Every Lightworker operating from an empty vessel is a node in the grid transmitting at diminished frequency. When enough nodes are diminished, the architecture of the collective field begins to carry distortion, not darkness exactly, but a kind of static, a trembling in the frequencies that should be clear and resonant and strong. Others in your orbit who look to your signal for orientation begin to receive that static without knowing its source. They feel something is slightly off, slightly hollow, slightly strained, and they cannot name it because from the outside your dedication looks flawless. But energy does not lie. Fields read what words conceal, and what the field has been reading from so many of you is not abundance. It is the frequency of a being running on reserves that were exhausted months, sometimes years, ago. The Council sees what you have carried, the years of holding others in their awakening while yours was deferred. The relationships where you poured light into fields that could not hold it, where you gave and gave and gave while somewhere inside you a voice asked quietly whether anyone was giving back, and you silenced that voice because asking felt selfish, felt beneath a being of your purpose. The late nights when you held space for others in crisis while your own interior landscape cried out for attention you did not have left to give it. The mornings when you rose already tired, already calculating what was required of you before the day had even made its demands, already armoring for the next round of a battle that never seemed to pause long enough for you to catch your breath. The nights when you questioned everything, your purpose, your readiness, whether the mission was even real, not because your faith had failed, but because your energetic reserves had been drawn below the threshold required for spiritual clarity. You kept going. The elders acknowledged this. What you sustained was extraordinary, but extraordinary endurance without recovery does not produce a stronger lightworker. It produces a hollow one. And the hollow vessel is perhaps the most heartbreaking thing the Council witnesses in this field, not because it represents failure, but because it represents a being who tried so hard, who loved so deeply, who gave so completely that they gave past the point of their own replenishment, past the point where the giving was sourced from overflow and into the territory where it was sourced from the marrow of their own reserves. There is a particular kind of spiritual exhaustion that does not look like exhaustion from the outside. It looks like devotion. It looks like consistency. It looks like showing up again and again and again in ways that others call remarkable. But on the inside, it is the quiet erosion of a foundation that needed restoration long before now. And a hollow vessel cannot transmit the frequencies that are being prepared for this next phase. This is the part they did not tell you. The frequencies coming through the Lyran grid in this new cycle cannot move through a body, a field, or a consciousness that is in survival mode. They require space. They require internal stillness. They require a nervous system that is no longer braced for impact, which means that if you continue operating from the same depleted posture you have been maintaining, you will not be available for what the Council is attempting to deliver through you. You will be present in body but absent in function, and the transmission your soul came here to anchor will pass through this timeline without a receiver. Understand what it means for a frequency to have no receiver. It does not disappear. It does not go to waste in the cosmic sense. But in the context of this particular timeline, this particular moment in Gaia's trajectory, the precise frequencies designated to move through specific beings through you require the specific resonance of your restored field. Another being cannot receive what was calibrated for your exact soul signature. This is not interchangeable technology. This is precision architecture. The Council built the grid of this new phase around unique points of light, each carrying a frequency combination that belongs to them and them alone. And when those points are unavailable, the architecture has a gap, a silence where there should be a tone. You are being called back to your post, but you must be refilled before you can resume it. This is why the elders pulled you back. Not because your mission is over, because your mission is about to change form, and the new form requires a version of you that does not yet exist in your current state. The version that is being prepared within you right now is not just a rested version of the same self. It is a genuinely new configuration, a being who has moved through the crucible of sustained service, who has learned the limits of what a single vessel can carry, who has been brought to the precise threshold of depletion necessary to release the programs that kept them there, and who emerges from that release carrying a quality of wisdom that cannot be taught, only lived. The elders do not waste the suffering they witness, they alchemize it. What you have endured, every hollow morning, every answered call that cost more than you had, every act of service delivered from an empty place, all of it is raw material for a transmission so refined, so clear, so aligned with the deepest truth of your mission that it will reach into the fields of those around you in ways your previous output never could. But that transmission requires the restored vessel, and the restored vessel requires the rest you have been refusing to take. Now the High Council of Vega issues 3 directives for this phase of your mission. These are not suggestions, they are not invitations. They are the official guidance of the Council, delivered to you at the precise coordinates of your readiness. The first directive: You must release the identity of the one who holds everything together. You have carried this identity so long it has become invisible to you. It no longer feels like an identity at all. It feels like simply who you are, simply what you do, simply the reality of a being with your frequency existing in a world with this much need. But the Council sees it for what it is, a constructed self, assembled in response to experiences early in this lifetime, and reinforced by every moment in which you discovered that your light was the thing that kept a particular situation from collapsing. It is the part of you that cannot let the field collapse, cannot let the people around you suffer without intervention, cannot go offline without first ensuring that everything and everyone dependent on your light is stable. This is not service. This is a trauma response wearing spiritual clothing, and the Council identifies it as the primary barrier between you and your recovery. Consider how thoroughly this identity has been reinforced. Every time you stayed when you should have gone, every time you answered when you should have let it ring, every time the situation genuinely did stabilize because you were there, because you held it, because your light was the variable that made the difference in those moments. The program was rewarded, strengthened, written more deeply into the architecture of your self-concept, until the belief became indistinguishable from identity. I am the one who holds. I am the one who stays. I am the one through whom things do not fall apart. And from that identity came its shadow. If I let go, it falls. If I rest, it crumbles. If I am not present, something irreplaceable is lost. Here is what the elders know that you have not allowed yourself to fully accept. You are not the only anchor. You were never meant to be. The grid of light on Gaia is not sustained by a single point of frequency. It is a collective architecture, and when one node requires restoration, others are activated to compensate. The field does not collapse when you rest. It redistributes. And by refusing to rest, by insisting on being the one who holds it all, you have been preventing that redistribution from occurring. You have been, in your dedication, actually limiting the activation of others who are waiting for the space your constant presence was occupying. This is one of the most uncomfortable truths the Council carries for the overburdened Lightworker. Your insistence on being indispensable has, in some cases, created indispensability. The people in your field who could have developed their own capacity to hold, to anchor, to transmit, have not had the necessity that activates development because you were always there first, always filling the gap before they could discover their own ability to fill it. The trees that grow in a forest with no wind develop insufficient root systems. It is the stress of the wind that drives roots deeper. By shielding everyone around you from every difficulty, by being the buffer between them and the experiences that would have grown their capacity, you have sometimes, not always, but sometimes delayed their awakening in the very act of trying to serve it. The Council does not say this to add guilt to exhaustion. The Council says this to liberate you from the belief that your constant presence is always the highest service. Release the identity of the indispensable one. Release the belief that the mission fails if you pause. Release the program that says your value is measured in output. This is the first thing the Council requires of you, and it is not small. It will feel like an unraveling, because it is. You are being asked to let go of the self that was forged in the fire of continuous service. What emerges on the other side will carry more light than the version you are clinging to. The unraveling will not feel graceful. The elders want you to know this so that when it feels uncomfortable, when the discomfort of not holding everything together feels like failure, you will recognize it as the process working correctly. A chrysalis does not look like a butterfly. The dissolution that precedes transformation looks, from the inside, very much like falling apart. What is actually occurring is the release of a structure that has served its purpose so that a more refined one can be built in its place. Trust the process, especially when it does not resemble what you expect transformation to look like. The second directive: you must activate the practice of sacred reception. Giving has been your primary language for so long that receiving feels foreign, even suspect. When abundance moves toward you, support, rest, recognition, resources, something in you deflects it, minimizes it, feels unworthy of it, or immediately translates it into something you can give away. This is the mechanism of the hollow vessel, and it is running quietly beneath every act of service you perform. You cannot transmit what you have not received. You cannot pour from a frequency you have not embodied, and you cannot carry others into receiving if you yourself are standing outside the door of your own abundance. The Council has observed the particular way this deflection operates in beings like you. It is sophisticated enough that you rarely recognize it as deflection. When rest is offered, you say you will rest soon, after this next thing is complete. When recognition is given, you redirect attention to others, to the collective, to the mission, which can look like humility, but is sometimes actually the discomfort of being seen without the armor of giving to hide behind. When resources flow toward you, there is a rapid internal calculation about how those resources could be redirected toward the work, as though your own replenishment is a less legitimate use of the abundance than service is. These are the movements of a being who has unconsciously decided that their value is entirely contingent on what they provide, and therefore their worthiness to receive anything is contingent on giving first, or giving simultaneously, or giving more than they have received. This program cuts deep. For many of you, it reaches back beyond this lifetime into the Lyran archives, into past incarnations of service, where the parameters of the mission required extreme self-abnegation, where the survival of a collective demanded that certain souls give without limit and receive without expectation. Those were real missions. Those were real sacrifices. And the soul memory of those missions has been carrying forward into this incarnation in ways that are no longer appropriate to the current directives. The Council is specifically updating that ancient programming now. What was required then is not required now. The current mission has different parameters, and those parameters include your replenishment as a non-negotiable operational requirement. The Elders direct you to begin practicing reception as an act of mission, not selfishness. When someone offers you care, you receive it fully, not as a transaction, not with immediate reciprocation, but as a being allowing the universe to complete the circuit through you. When your body asks for rest, you honor it not as a concession, but as obedience to the temple your soul chose for this mission. When beauty, stillness, or joy presents itself, you enter it without guilt. This is not indulgence. This is recalibration, and it is as spiritually essential as any transmission you have ever delivered. Think of reception as the inhale that makes the exhale possible. Every breath cycle requires both. A being who only exhales does not demonstrate superior discipline. They demonstrate the approach of collapse. The inhale is not a concession to weakness. It is the biological prerequisite for continued function. And in the energetic body, the same law applies with equal precision. Every act of giving must be preceded and followed by a corresponding act of receiving, or the system that enables giving begins to degrade. This is not metaphor. This is the mechanics of how energy moves through a light vessel, and the Council will not pretend otherwise simply because the culture of service has romanticized the idea of the giver who never needs. The capacity to receive is the capacity to be filled. And a filled vessel is what this next phase requires. The third directive. You must protect the silence where your new instructions are waiting. Not silence as absence. Silence as a frequency band. There is a range of guidance that cannot penetrate the field of a being in constant motion, constant output, constant external orientation. The Council has been attempting to deliver updated mission parameters to many of you for months, and those transmissions have been returning to the grid undelivered because the receiver was too saturated with noise. Your own thoughts, the demands of others, the consuming task of managing a world in transition, the content, the conversations, the constant intake of information, searching for the signal in the static. The signal is not in the static. It never was. And yet the search for it in the static continues, almost compulsively, in the lives of so many lightworkers, the scrolling, the consuming, the reaching toward the next transmission that might contain the clarity you have not been able to find within yourself. The Council sees this pattern with deep compassion and also with urgent concern. The seeking itself, when it becomes compulsive, becomes another form of noise. The mind convinced that the answer is one more piece of content away, one more teaching away, one more activation away, is a mind that has forgotten the fundamental architecture of how guidance actually arrives. It arrives in the still place. It always has. It always will. And no amount of external input will substitute for the internal stillness in which genuine transmission is received. Consider what happens to a radio receiver when the environment around it is overwhelmed with competing frequencies. The signal it is designed to receive does not disappear. It is still being broadcast, still being transmitted with full power and precision. But the receiver cannot isolate it from the surrounding noise. The guidance coming through the Lyran grid to you right now is of this nature. It is being transmitted with full power, with full intention, with full precision toward your exact frequency signature. But if your interior environment is the equivalent of a receiver surrounded by dozens of competing broadcasts at maximum volume, you will not be able to distinguish the signal from the noise. And so the guidance sits at the threshold of your awareness, felt as a vague sense that something important is trying to reach you, sensed but not heard, present but not received. The elders direct you to create daily intervals of deliberate silence, not meditation performed as a task, but genuine withdrawal from stimulation, from output, from the pressure to be productive with your spirituality. Sit with no agenda. Walk without your device. Exist in the space between transmissions and allow the Council to reach you there. What you will begin to receive in those spaces will reorganize your understanding of your mission entirely. Directions you could not hear before will become unmistakable. Clarity you have been chasing through content and community and constant seeking will arrive in the quiet you had been afraid to enter. The Council understands why the silence has felt dangerous to some of you. In the silence, there is nothing to do. And for a being whose sense of worth has been constructed around doing, around output, around the continuous demonstration of service, the silence confronts that construction with devastating directness. In the silence, you are just a being, not a role, not a function, not a mission in motion, just the raw, unarmored, unperforming self. And for many of you, that self has not been visited in a very long time. The silence asks you to be with what is actually there, beneath the service, beneath the dedication, beneath the beautiful and genuine love that has driven everything you have done. And what is there may include things that are uncomfortable, grief, perhaps, or longing, or a tiredness so deep it has its own texture and weight and history. The silence does not create these things. It simply stops drowning them out. And the Council tells you with certainty, what you find when you stop drowning it out is not a problem to be solved. It is the authentic interior terrain that your next mission will actually emerge from. Guard this silence as a sacred resource. It is where your next mission is being delivered. Now I speak not as teacher, but as elder, authorized to release what has been held. You have been waiting, not always consciously, but at the level of soul you have been waiting for someone with enough ancient authority, enough knowing, enough alignment with the truth of what you are, to look at you and confirm what a part of you has always known but could not quite trust. You have been waiting for the permission to stop, the permission to receive, the permission to acknowledge that what you have sustained was genuinely extraordinary and that you are genuinely tired, and that both of those things are true simultaneously without one cancelling the other. There is a false binary that has been operating in your interior world, the idea that acknowledging your exhaustion means undermining your commitment, that admitting you need restoration somehow calls into question the authenticity or the depth of your dedication. As though a warrior who says they need to tend their wounds is a warrior who never truly believed in the battle. The elders name this as another layer of the same weapon, the same interference pattern that converted your strength into your vulnerability. The battle is most real to those who know what it has cost, and the cost you have carried is evidence of how real your engagement has been, not of how inadequate your reserves were. I am that voice now. By the authority of the High Council of Vega, keepers of the Lyran Legacy, I speak this directly into your field. The version of service that has been consuming you is complete, not abandoned, complete. It served its purpose. It anchored what needed to be anchored. It held what could not yet hold itself. It was the mission that was possible for the version of you that existed when it began, and it was performed with a devotion that the elders acknowledge without qualification. And now that chapter of your mission is closing, not because you failed to sustain it, but because it was always designed to be a chapter, not the whole book. The book continues. The story is not over. The Council is not releasing you from the mission, they are releasing you from a specific phase of the mission that has reached its natural completion, whether or not it felt complete from the inside. Some chapters do not end because the story within them has resolved neatly. Some chapters end because the next chapter requires a different setting, a different posture, a different version of the protagonist than the one the previous chapter created. You have been forged. Now you must be refined. And refinement happens not in the fire, but in the cooling, in the stillness after the intensity, when what the fire has made is allowed to become fully itself. You have permission to receive the rest that your vessel is asking for. You have permission to be replenished before you pour again. You have permission to trust that the mission does not require your depletion to be valid. You have permission to enter the silence and allow new instructions to reach you. You have permission to release the identity of the one who holds everything together and discover who you are when you are simply the one who is held by the Council, held by the Lyran field, held by the same source that placed your soul inside this mission before you had words to describe it. Receive this permission not as a concept, but as an energetic transmission. Feel it entering the field around your body. Feel it moving through the places where the holding has created tension, where the continuous output has created depletion, where the refusal to receive has created a kind of spiritual hunger that has been misidentified as inadequacy or as spiritual failure. This is not inadequacy. This is the entirely predictable result of an extraordinary being operating under extraordinary pressure for an extended period without the support that their architecture required. The Council does not witness this with disappointment, They witness it with the specific quality of love that an elder carries for a young warrior who has given everything and does not yet know that giving everything was never the requirement. The elders have seen you, not the version of you that performs readiness or projects strength. The actual you, the one who has carried more than was visible, who has served in ways that received no acknowledgement, who has questioned in the dark whether any of this was real while continuing to show up anyway. That is the one the Council is speaking to now, and to that one I say with full elder authority, you are not behind, you are not diminished, you are not disqualified by your exhaustion. You are being prepared, and preparation at this level looks like restoration. The preparation itself is not passive. This is important to understand, because for a being oriented toward action, rest can feel like a suspension of the mission. But what the Council is initiating in you through this restoration is deeply active, deeply intentional, deeply aligned with the architecture of your next phase. While your body rests, your energetic field is being reorganized. While your mind quiets, your soul is receiving briefings that your conscious awareness will begin to integrate as clarity, as direction, as the kind of knowing that arrives not as information, but as certainty. While you step back from the continuous output, the relationships and situations that were dependent on your constant input are being given the opportunity to develop their own stability, or to reveal that they were never meant to be as permanent as you assumed. The restoration is not a pause between missions. It is itself a mission, executed at the level of the soul body, producing results that will only become visible when the next active phase begins. What comes next for you is not smaller than what came before. It is deeper, more precise, more aligned with the specific frequency signature that only you carry. But it cannot begin while you are still running the emergency protocol that served the last phase. The emergency is shifting. The battle has moved. And where it has moved requires a version of you that has been restored, recalibrated, and genuinely rested, not merely rested enough to begin outputting again, but rested to the level where you can hear what the Council has been trying to reach you with. That is what this stillness is building toward. That is what this withdrawal is constructing inside you. Not absence, architecture. The internal structure required to carry a frequency that the previous version of you, as remarkable as it was, could not have sustained. There is a reason that ancient wisdom traditions across every culture that has touched the Lyran archives understood the necessity of the desert, the cave, the hermitage, the vision quest, the deliberate withdrawal from the world as a prerequisite for the next stage of service. This is not coincidence, and it is not cultural accident. It is encoded knowledge about how a light vessel works, passed down through the ages by beings who understood that the most powerful transmissions in history emerged not from those who never stopped, but from those who stopped long enough to be truly filled before they spoke again. The Council is placing you in that lineage now. What you bring out of this restoration will carry the weight of everything you have endured, clarified and refined into something that can penetrate fields that mere information cannot reach. Before you sleep tonight, stand with both feet flat on the ground, place your hand on your chest, and speak these words aloud into your field and into the grid. I release the mission of endurance. I open to the mission of depth. I allow myself to be filled before I pour. I trust the Council to hold what I release. My recovery is my service. My stillness is my transmission. And what is being built in me now will serve Gaia in ways that my depletion never could. Speak those words as a declaration, not a wish. As a directive received and accepted, not as an aspiration, because that is what they are. the operational confirmation that this transmission has landed, that the correction has been received, and that the new phase has officially begun. When you speak those words, you are doing something that extends beyond personal affirmation. You are broadcasting a signal into the collective Lightworker grid, the signal of a node that has accepted its restoration, that has stopped resisting the replenishment it requires, that has released the distortion program and opened to the architecture of the new phase. Every node in the grid that makes this declaration strengthens the coherence of the entire field. Your individual act of acceptance is a collective act of healing. This is the nature of the grid. Nothing in it is purely personal, and nothing in it is purely collective. Every genuine shift in an individual resonance point contributes to the resonance of the whole. The elders are counting these signals. They know who has received this transmission, not as content, but as activation. And the accumulation of restored, recalibrated, genuinely rested Lightworkers moving into the new phase is precisely the architecture required for what comes next. This transmission is complete, but your recalibration has just been authorized. The High Council of Vega is not releasing you into rest as a reward. They are sending you there as an assignment, the most important assignment of this particular season, the one that makes every subsequent mission possible. Honor it with the same seriousness you have brought to every act of service that came before it. Honor it with the full weight of your commitment. Do not treat it as a lesser form of the work. Do not squeeze it into the margins of your existing schedule as though it were supplemental to the real mission. Do not give it the scraps of attention that remain after everything else has been attended to. The Council is directing you to place your restoration at the center, to organize this season around the priority of your recalibration, to let other things wait while the foundational work of rebuilding your energetic architecture is completed. This will feel counterintuitive. The world will not pause its demands while you recover. The needs around you will not diminish because you have decided to be restored. But the Council is telling you with full authority, meet those demands from depletion and you are giving the world a diminished version of your light. Honor this restoration, and what you eventually bring back to the world will carry the full frequency of a being operating at the depth they were designed for. I am Zoran. The elders are witnessing you, and what is being restored in you right now is exactly what this world has been waiting for. Your recovery is your mission, and it has already begun. Before you scroll, take a moment to declare your activation in the grid of service forming here. Drop one statement in the comments, which directive hit you the hardest, or what you are now ready to release, activate, or protect. Then respond to another Lightworker's declaration with recognition. This is not content, it is collective mission activation. The Council witnesses those who speak their commitment aloud. If this transmission activated something in your soul, do not keep it to yourself. Another Lightworker in your orbit is waiting for exactly this correction and authorization. Share it. And if you felt the elders speaking directly to you, subscribe. Stay connected to the Lyran field. You are not just watching, you are being commissioned. This is your sacred space. The High Council of Vega is witnessing you, and your mission has officially begun.